Being one of the first characters in the series to actively want smoke from Sukuna, one of the strongest characters in the series, you could say Kashimo indeed has that dog in him. But with recent chapters and Sukuna's newfound power, Kashimo's ultimate goal seems to grow farther out of his reach. In this video, we'll be going over whether Kashimo can actually take down the beast that is Sukuna. Subscribe so you don't miss any content. With debates and matchups all over the internet that match him up against the strongest top tiers, it goes without saying that Kashimo is one of the strongest sorcerers we've seen in the series. And I also asked you guys in a poll a few days ago if you thought Kashimo was taking on current Sukuna, and as you can see, the results speak for themselves. Now, to no one's surprise, I have to say that I agree with you guys, but like many of you said in the comments, that doesn't mean Kashimo is getting no diff by the King of Curses. There are two important things to consider when we seriously think about matching these two up, that being Kashimo's curse energy trait, and of course, his curse technique. Now, as of chapter 221, we know that being the powerhouse Sukuna is, we're obviously going to have to give Kashimo some benefit of the doubt, and since we haven't seen Kashimo's curse technique, of course, we'll do some speculating on maybe what that could be, but for now, I wanted to touch on something important regarding Kashimo, and that is his durability. Now, we know from the fight with Hikari that Kashimo is extremely familiar with the hands, but we also see that he wasn't quite able to put Hikari down, despite the fact that Hikari wasn't trying to kill him. Regardless, it should be more than fair to say that Kashimo has a good chance of surviving against most of the 10 shadows, besides Mahoraga. But anything else besides that Sukuna has, like Cleave and Dismantle, or even the flame technique we see Sukuna flex against Jogo in chapter 116, is unfortunately backing Kashimo up. Now, the reason I bring this up is because, like I said earlier, we're gonna have to give Kashimo some benefit of the doubt, because to be completely honest with you, we pretty much have to, considering all of the broken hacks Sukuna has so far. In the stretch of chapters that covers Tokyo Colony number 2, which covers the Kashimo vs Panda and Kashimo vs Hikari fight respectively, it's very clear that Kashimo is a scaled hand-to-hand fighter. We see him block Panda's unblockable drum attack with ease while landing a lethal counterattack, which we also see in the fight with Hikari. During this fight, it's made very clear that Kashimo is the more dominant and tactical fighter, and not trying to take anything away from our GOAT Hikari at all, but had it not been for Hikari's reverse curse technique and unlimited energy reserves, this fight would have had a much different outcome, and Hikari pretty much confirms it himself. However, close quarters isn't going to be much of an option with the risk of Cleave and Dismantle, and as I just explained, close quarters is Kashimo's specialty, and although he's fast enough to keep up with Jackpot Hikari, the best he could possibly do against Sukuna is opt for hit and run tactics to charge up his sure hit lightning, which would probably work, but not before Sukuna gets annoyed and decides to punish him for it. So since his curse energy trait isn't going to be much help for him, we're going to have to rely on his unknown curse technique. There's a lot of speculation in the community as to what Kashimo's curse technique is, and more importantly, can it really harm Sukuna? And just like many of you, I definitely think that it can, especially given that he can only use it one time. There's also this theory that Kashimo used the binding vow when creating his technique, making it where he can only use it against Sukuna, but in exchange is way more powerful. And yeah, I know it's headcanon, but like I said earlier in the video, Kashimo is going to need all the help he can get at this point. Plus, it's not like it's super hard to believe for someone as good as Kashimo to do anyway. This is the same sorcerer that reincarnated just to be able to face off against Sukuna, so a strengthening binding vow isn't really that far-fetched. Now, with Kashimo's technique, there's been a lot of talk about what it could possibly be, and knowing Gege Akutami, it could really be anything. Having said that, if I was to give my input, I would say there are two strong possible candidates. The first being a sure hit lightning attack that feeds off the negative energy of its opponents, similar to its curse trait, but much more potent, hitting the whole body instead of a specified point for a lethal blow. And yeah, I know amplifying your curse trait sounds a little too simple. Regardless though, it would also be extremely powerful. The other possibility is actually a popular theory in the community, more notably Kyobreeze's Godspeed transformation theory. Now, for those unfamiliar with Hunter x Hunter, Godspeed is an Nen ability used by Killua that allows him to give his aura the same properties as lightning. Now, not only is this just a really cool ability, but I think it would actually be perfect for Kashimo, because being able to close the gap on his opponents even faster than he already can may just lead to more close quarter interactions, which we know allows Kashimo to accumulate the charges needed. With enhanced strength and speed, a sure hit curse trait, and his staff, this fight starts to look a bit more even. But is this still enough for Kashimo to pull out that elusive dub? Here's what I think. Given we give Kashimo a huge benefit of the doubt, and we also give him the Godspeed technique, it's very possible that he could surprise Sukuna with the lethal blow. There is something important to note that I purposely left out though, and that is Sukuna's domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine. Sukuna's domain expansion is one of the very few barrier techniques in the series without an actual barrier, and as we see in the battle between Yuki and Kenjaku, Simple Domain was completely ineffective, which means Hollow Wicker Basket is also ineffective. So the question becomes, will Sukuna start to fight off with the domain, or do you think Kashimo has the speed and the skill to take Sukuna out before he has the chance? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that like button, and if you want to know why Yuki vs Yorozu is closer than you think, click here.